we go.
Oh, what episode is it?
What episode is this? I don't know. What was it? It's 75, so it's me.
No, last week was 75.
No, it wasn't. It was 74. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Apart from being barracked by the IT department behind the curtain next to us, we've got off to a very bad start.
We've no idea what episode number it is.
75.
75, she said.
Yeah,
I'll
75.
go with that. Yeah.
And here we are in South Northants the day after. And look what Liz is... Yeah.
I have here a bottle of Bordeaux, empty. But we're putting that behind us.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
You
Put
did.
Bordeaux behind us.
Yeah, very good.
Along with Jimmy and a small Dazzle.
And a small Dazzle. But more of Dazzles.
More of Dazzles later. More of Dazzles. So we're not very sad ladies.
No, we're very proud ladies.
We are very, very proud Ladies Wot Pod. We going by the win together, lose together mantra that this club has. We are so proud of those boys. The feeling was at the end, nobody could have given any more. They left everything out on the pitch.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
It was yes. I mean, we've said all along, we win together, we lose together, and I think Dowse says it. He wants them to remember the journey because the journey has been fabulous.
Are they going in Strictly Come Dancing then? Because they all have journeys, don't they?
No, I can't imagine Dowse on Strictly Come Dancing.
I was just trying to imagine Big Trev tangoing, really.
Oh, with Robbie.
Oh, God. Is that right? We're a bit tired.
And we go easily off piece.
Easily off piece. So let's start with, let's roll the clock back to pre-Saturday.
Yes.
Because you went to a very lovely training session, I believe.
I did go to a very lovely training session. It was in glorious sunshine.
It was.
There were a lot of the world's press there.
All corralled against the hedge whilst you were...
No, they were in the stadium.
Oh, they were in the... Of course, they were in the stadium.
Because if anyone's wandered past pitch 2...
Oh, yes, it's been seeded.
It's been seeded and sanded in it. Look, I don't think we'll be playing on that for a bit. In preparation, we're all assuming for the World Cup because there will be obviously players training on it at that point. So I went to training and I had a nice lolly. It was a very nice ice lolly. Orange and apple.
Where were these ice lollies coming from?
Well, Benson's. The joke was that it was Archie's dad who supplied them.
Because you said Sammy G and Robbie Smith were sitting eating ice lollies as well.
Yes, naughty Sammy G.
Oh, he did wind everybody up.
That little Instagram post. He's a naughty boy. So training was lovely. It was very quick. There was a lot of what you would hope, running around, stuff going on. They'd all been given a present by churches, which was very nice as well.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And I had a lovely chat with several of them, and also more of that later. I congratulated Charlie Reid on the little film, but we're going to talk about that.
We'll talk about the little film later.
Yeah. So it was, and they were all using the new ball because one of the things EPCR like to do, in fact, a lot of tournaments do now, is to have a specific ball for the final. So Kev. The kit man was keeping a very close eye on them where they went. So I only posted one photo, and it was Craigo with a line out. But you could read the Cardiff 2025 on it. Yeah,
the balls surprisingly make a difference, apparently. The way they, even though they look the same to the uninitiated, the way the bobbles are arranged or something.
There's something going on.
There's something that changed them. Because there was a lot of upset in one of the World Cups, wasn't there? I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, 2011, I think.
Yeah, but the different balls that were used and they didn't fly the same, and it was...
Yeah, it was all a bit... Yeah. So, and even when they got to Cardiff... so we can move on. Captain's run. I did captain's run in Cardiff, which was great. But the first thing they did was get the balls out of the bag and actually roll them on the turf because anyone who's played in the Principality, which of course several of our lads had, knows that the grass is usually very wet.
It was very humid. It was a bit sauna-like at times. I did have to go and get some fresh air. More of that later as to why I had to go and get some fresh air.
So the balls, they were learning how to, throw, train, kick, whatever with the balls. It was all very jolly.
As well as doing their 150 touches of a ball thing.
The captain's run, yes. They were playing cricket. They were playing some sort of volleyball thing over a net. Tom Bullock was doing his tennis ball catching thing. Tamo, so they did this I noticed in the Aviva. Tamo and Trev, Elliot, and it was the last one. I can't remember the last one was. Really liked the little trampolini thing.
Oh,
with
yes.
the ball. That kept them entertained for hours. But it was to get a feel for what was going on. Now, I did learn some interesting twists about who got what in the stadium. So there were a number of coin tosses. One was for which hotel. One was for which dressing room. So we ended up in the away dressing room. And what was the last one? I can't remember what the last one was. There's another one.
Ends.
Oh, no, then there's the ordinary coin toss.
The ordinary ones.
But I think there's another one before. Anyway, basically lots of things were decided on the basis of a coin toss. Seedings didn't come into it anymore. Yes, because that's why the match was described as Northampton Saints versus Union Bordeaux Begler, because it was alphabetical order. But they ended up in the home changing room. We ended up in the away changing room. But
we felt we had the better hotel.
We had the hotel we wanted, yes, because I think we won that toss and we chose the hotel.
And you had the theory that the people in the other cup had not so good hotel. Well,
that was my theory. I just liked to.
We saw that Bath were staying in the Hilton, right in the centre of Cardiff. So
which would have been, easy to get to because you just walk. But more of that shortly. But it wouldn't have been any escape.
No,
it would have been incredibly noisy. Hopefully the windows were.
I'm sure they're double glazed because it's right on the Boulevard de Nantes. Yeah, there. I say Cardiff. So I used to live near Cardiff only for 3 years. There is no Welsh blood in me whatsoever. Just to point that out to the IT department, one half. Anyway, Cardiff has changed a lot. Since the late 70s.
Really?
Oh yes. Yeah. There are roads where there were none, and there are no roads where there were some. Very confusing. Very, very confusing. It took me a while to get my bearings, but
it is a good city for a final because there's lots going on.
It's so compact as well. In effect, there's only 3 streets, so
yeah, and you can get to places easily, and there are lots of pubs.
Yeah. And we discovered a fantastic Kerrilan restaurant.
We did.
Well, so we did. Dr. T had done his research and booked us in whilst the other final was being played.
Mum's something.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So we had a very lovely meal. So Friday was perfect for me. I managed to get my pass, so I had access to all the areas, which, believe me and my dodgy knees and Achilles were very happy about, because basically half the distance I had to walk. One thing about the Principality that everyone will tell you is you walk miles. It's not like Twickenham where literally you come out of the photographer's room, walk through a gate and you're in the stadium. Oh no, that would be far too easy. I was going to say Millennium there, the Principality.
Yeah, I was going to say still the Arms Park in mine.
The Principality, if you want to get your steps, you get your steps, no bother at all. But yes. So Saturday comes and the streets were full of supporters from all
over the shop.
Yeah.
All over the shop.
Nationalities.
Including a random Italian bloke.
Yes.
That spoke to us very highly about Henry.
Oh, of course,
yeah. But he was trying to take his shoe off to sing the Shoe Army song. We're not 100% sure because his English was not very good, but he was.
Trying.
Bless.
Yeah, it was great. There was, all sorts of, including wasps in Worcester. Yes.
Oh yeah, I think that was an homage thing. I don't know what's going
got
on
the feeling.
Table.
Yes. Yeah. But the city filled up pretty quickly.
It was a nice atmosphere.
Yeah, very, very jolly.
Very jolly atmosphere. Carnival.
Yeah.
I do like the way they managed to close off the whole of the centre of Cardiff, so it's quite safe to wander around, apart from lunatic people on e-scooters that should. But mainly it's a sort of really, really good fun. People in cafes and bars and everything. I did a bit of ad hoc meet and greet at the station. I was going to meet and greet my son, but while we were waiting, ended up meeting and greeting lots of other people as well. So
Very good. Yes, you were very good at bumping into people.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. And as it proved, I said, well, you think I know a lot of people. Wait till my son comes, because the people I don't know, he does. And we'd not gone more than into the bar, and he disappeared off to talk to people he knew. So that was only briefly, and it was back. Yeah.
So, so the Saints supporters headed off en masse, which, given a few weeks ago, they weren't even thinking about a final.
Yeah.
Is remarkable.
And actually, there are those, Maz and George and Kelly, who always go to the European final for a bit of an enjoyable weekend away and relaxed watching rugby as a neutral. They said it's been ruined. We're now going to be stressed. So there was. Given that, as you say, until 3 weeks ago we didn't know we were going to be there, the number of Saints supporters that were there was
tremendous,
absolutely fantastic,
absolutely tremendous. And I was worried that we'd be ending up with little pockets, but no, the Come On You Saints, when the Saints go marching in, Shoe Army, the whole lot was very, very good. Saturday for me, of course, started early because I needed to go and talk to Ben, the photography man, the equivalent of Tony at Twickenham, and he was fabulous. I got my red bib of density.
Red bib to match the red hat. I'm glad it wasn't a clash.
No, there was no clash at all. And basically they were more relaxed than they were at the Aviva, and I thought they were pretty relaxed at the Aviva. The chalk and cheese between my experience in 2011 and my experience yesterday, brilliant. And even better, Ben checked on us throughout the game. So I got a little visit to see if I was okay, if I had everything I needed, if I needed to move. Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, talking of needing to move, there was one of your compadres in front of us. We were behind the post and he's in front of us, and where they'd sat him,
he was warned.
Did he have any choice? Because I thought EPCR,
the idea was that you stepped back. They were told at certain
he did have to step back.
Yeah.
It didn't really help. I think he was practically dead by then. He was next to the smoke machine, literally where Claire is. If I'm the photographer, there on my little fishing stool. They didn't give him any warning they were starting the smoke machine. That was the other thing. So he's there, and suddenly, poof, this smoke shot forth. It's going, oh my God. And it was none of it drifted up.
No,
it was all completely across. So he
was warned, and he was supposed to drift up because the idea was it helped pick out the lasers.
How they thought it was going to drift up in a closed stadium.
It was all a bit strange.
Yes.
But of course, as photographers, we just have to live with it.
Yes, an EPCR official came past and could not have cared more or less. He was like, well, and could have been French actually. The way he cared, he could have been French.
Now, we did wonder what was going to be...
Oh, yes, in the press room.
Because
as you know, we've had biscuits. I'm glad they didn't have those because they were... The last lot were... Yeah.
Biltong seemed to be in the photographer's area. Yeah. We think the TV crews ran off with the Tony's chocolate.
Yeah. Bitterly disappointing.
Anyway, so this is the next Dazzle. Dazzles are generally getting bigger.
Till they got huge.
And anyone who saw the ones pitch side, one came to see me and wave at me. And
yes, that was.
Maybe I should put that on at the end.
I think so. I think we need to see that at the end.
A video at the end.
Yeah, that's a bit
very scary.
If you're of a nervous disposition.
Yeah. And they were firing little Dazzles.
Little Dazzles.
Little Dazzles.
He was not fired out of a gun.
But there were little Dazzles being fired out of a gun.
Which I think is a little cruel, really.
Dazzle abuse.
I was a bit worried for the life-size zebras that were wheeled on.
Well, particularly at the end when two Bordeaux props headed towards
Yeah, it was...
Do you remember when they did that with the concrete cows in Milton Keynes? Yes, but fortunately that EPCR official got to them before we ended up with something looking very inappropriate on TV.
I think they'd have been hard pressed because I think their hooves were nailed to the platforms, so it might have not worked.
I think they'd have had a go.
They would have had a go. Yeah. Anyway, enough of that. So that was the Dazzles were of ever increasing size.
Yeah. But yes, there you go.
And Bernie was there.
Bernie was there. Bernie lost the mascot race.
Oh. They didn't have the right Bernie then.
Well, I think Bernie's feet are not conducive to mascot races.
Yeah, but when they did the mascot race before, he had special feet on, didn't he? He'd managed to squeeze his paws into trainers. I seem to recall.
Not yesterday.
Oh, that'll be it then.
Anyway, yes, so the lion beat him.
Oh, a taste of things to come.
Yeah.
Shall we get on with that?
Yeah.
So...
Anyway, we go back to our original statement, which is we are incredibly proud of this very young team.
Who just... Actually, the fates were just conspiring against them, weren't they? Right from the coach in.
Well, you could say right from the day after the blessed trip to Leinster, because, you know, we ended up in Injury City.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd lost several at Newcastle.
Yeah.
And the injuries mounted up and up and up, and
the Saracens.
So we
took to that field held together with sticky tape anyway. Then the coach was supposed to have a police escort.
Well, he did have a police escort.
Well, yes, no. Which implies that will smooth the way forward, not just drive alongside you and stop at the red lights and stuff.
Yeah, and hold back the traffic. That is the general idea.
And then we were actually walking towards the stadium when the coach was, which was strange. We thought they'd be already in. And the police, there was one police constable, I don't think he'd been long in the job. He wasn't happy about engaging with the public. I think his career choice is probably wrong. But then an inspector came along and said, "Can you step back? The coach is here, but we got to, the people keep being in the road." And you think, you're the police. It's your job to get us out of the road, though. We don't know that. So eventually they did. And the police horses did a good job at clearing the way, and the coach came through. And that made me a bit emotional. Always makes me emotional. It's only a coach. You can't see anything.
Well, at this point, Jack Miller was sort of prowling around, staring at his watch a lot, fretting.
Because they were about quarter of an hour late, weren't they?
It was about 10 minutes. But that 10 minutes when you're on such a tight schedule and you've got to cram it, there's a whole load of things that several of them had to do that they would normally
media do.
Because there were 6 TV companies, radio stations and all the works that they had to talk to. It was difficult.
But talking about late coaches, one of the Saints coaches from the club coaches, not the supporters club coach, apparently, mysteriously, at some junction, turns toward Manchester.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Old Trafford. Oh, dear.
What was going on there?
Etihad.
So, but they got there eventually. But it wasn't one of the supporters. There was confusion on the supporters club coaches when a coach had turned up and they said, "Are you for the supporters club?" And the driver said yes. So they all piled on it. And it turned out it wasn't. He should have been round the back, not at the front of the gardens. So there had to be a coach swap somewhere at Oxford Services thing. Anyway, but they all arrived in time, so that was all good. So well done, coach travellers, for putting up.
Talking of arriving, when I entered through Gate 5, which is where you go for the media, I had a lovely chat with James Burridge and his cameraman.
Such a delightful man.
Yes, and we had I'm sorry, I've forgotten the cameraman's name because he's a lovely chap. Had a very good, geeky
camera conversation.
He was saying that one of the things that's really helped him as a cameraman is he's wandering around with an ordinary camera it's got a harness thing
rather than a
big one, so
people don't see him coming.
well, they don't realise what he's doing,
Yeah.
so James doesn't have the idiot behind him.
Ah,
who he
yes,
used to get,
yeah.
Because
Nobody knows. They're not aware.
of what's
Just looks
going
like
on.
a conversation
Yeah,
almost.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So yes, we had a very geeky conversation. It's very good, very good. But there were lots of photographers, as you would expect. I think there were only 2 women in the entire fraternity. I didn't get to talk to the other lady. She beetled off somewhere. But yeah, it was a lot of grumpy men. Because anyway, Dave Rogers arrived with an extraordinary amount of cable.
Just prepared. He's just well prepared, that man.
It was like he was going mountaineering.
Well, perhaps it was.
Well, I discovered why, because there is no signal in the principality. The Wi-Fi doesn't work, and 5G just got eaten by the crowd. And so
Probably a Dazzle.
Or a
Bordeaux number 6.
Or Bordeaux number 6.
More of that later.
Yeah. And so, yes, so he arrived with this reel of cable, and I'm thinking, and yeah, very difficult.
So in the changing room, you
So
said they'd done something special for the players in the changing room.
So family is very important for this team, the band of brothers, as I've taken to calling them. So I walked with Lewis from the press room for 3 days and eventually got to the changing room, only to discover that I'd left my phone on charge in the media room, so I had to walk all the way back. So Jo and I ended up on first name terms. Lovely lady. She was one of the security team. I said, well, I'm going to pass you many times, so we ought to be on first name terms. So hello, Jo, if you're watching. Yes, so I walked about a mile just to go and get my phone. And I'm not kidding. It is a very long way. Anyway, in the changing room, they had laid out all their kit. They had Cardiff shirts, as you would expect. And so on the bottom panel, it had Cardiff 2025 and the final, the rest of it. But on the top right of each locker was a photograph of them playing rugby when they were little.
I don't know why that makes us go...
I melted. Curtis and a little trophy. Henry didn't look much different. But
No, it's only last year.
And neither did Finn, to be honest. But
Well,
anyway,
again,
yeah.
they're all so young. These photos were only taken a handful of years ago.
Chunya looked just like. I mean, obviously he looked just like Chunya, but it's a photograph. It was a photograph of him galloping along with the ball. Yes, and Lewis had been dispatched to meet the directors because they had organised a mobile copy of the Y board. So anyone who's been on a stadium tour at the Gardens will know that the Y board is a why do you play rugby? What is it for?
And the personal feelings of the players.
Yeah. And it's covered in pictures of family, and there is one of Kev's sheep on there. Yes. So it's a very personal board to the team. They've done it every year since Rob Horne instigated why do you play? So the day that Rob captained Saints at Leicester, every player had the reason why he was playing tucked in, you know, where they put the little device to measure, tucked into that little bit of the shirt, so they had that with them. Anyway, since then they have done a Y board, and we had to put it up so it couldn't be seen by the TV cameras because, of course,
it's personal.
It's personal, and you know, it involves the player's family and children, relatives, and the like. So so we stuck it up on the wall where you wouldn't be able to see it from the corridor. But the last thing that the players would have seen as they left the changing room was the Y board. And I got quite emotional helping Kevin Lewis put it up because I just thought it was a brilliant idea.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And sums up the club beautifully. So the Y board went up. And then I headed out through the tunnel, which again made life much easier for me because if you were a photographer, you basically had to go via the Galapagos Islands to get into the stadium. And sat on my little fishing stool in the technical area, putting my cameras together, watching the scene. And it was just fabulous watching everything happen. And lots of stuff being put together. And I had exactly the spots that I wanted in the game, which was great, and I did the run out, and I did the huddle. I didn't do the huddle at
We saw you on the telly.
and I ended up on the telly.
Doing the huddle and having a hug from
the director of
DRR.
Rugby. Yeah, he gave me a hug. And so I took photographs of the huddle. I haven't even had time to look at those photographs, to be honest. But it was
why? Can I just explain? We didn't explain at the front why we're doing this together. Is because we travelled to Cardiff together and we travelled back.
We did
last night, and rather than go them, drive on to Cambridge, I said, well, they can stay here and we'll do super sausage breakfast, which
super
we
sausage
have done.
breakfast.
And then we are here together. So that's why
we're here. And what a breakfast it was.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Anyway, so
I trotted off back to the technical area, sat down, had a lovely chat with the sports psychologist Ollie, and I thought I was asking a really smart question. So I said, okay, Ollie, thinking, he was doing something with some little football club. That'll learn me.
Yeah,
that put me in my
right there, didn't it?
And Ollie is one of the nicest men you could meet. I said, Ollie, okay, here you are, Investec Champions Cup
huge sporting occasion, you said.
What were you doing this time last year? And he thought about it for a moment. Oh, yes, working with a team for the Olympics. Oh, damn. So a very experienced sports psychologist and shooting. He worked with the shooting team.
We did quite well with
the old shooting thing. So well done, Ollie. But he was taking it. So Ollie and I, it's become a bit of a ritual. We have a conversation about the stadium, about the match. So Ollie is a really interesting chap, and he has, he clearly has little things, little rituals that he goes through with all individual players, the coaches. He's there to support the team, so as you would expect of a sports psychologist. But yeah, lovely guy. So warm up was the warm up. There were 6 TV stations there yesterday, so moving around in the warm up was almost impossible. And I didn't really I got some nice ones at the backs doing their running around bit.
You nearly got a nice one of Hutch, didn't you? Until Henry.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. So I'd lined up, I was doing...
Until Henry.
Until Henry. I was lining up, so Hutch was doing his kicking practice, and what I wanted to do was get the boot going through the ball, which I was about to hit the trigger when some Henry-shaped boots appeared in the frame. Thanks, Henry.
He may be an idiot, but he's our idiot.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the warm-up was the warm-up. The noise was incredible. The supporters, the music, the whole thing. They revved it up good and proper.
They did.
And I went and put my little fishing stool in its place. Sat next to a security guard who was incredibly shy. I was going to say hello, but he averted his eyes.
He'd heard about you.
Yeah, quite. But had a perfect spot, and more of that shortly. So set my little fishing stool up, dropped my bag off, and then went and stood in the tunnel. And the only photograph I've released so far, this being Sunday lunchtime, is of Dingers and Luku coming down the tunnel with, I think it's Jason Civil and Angus Scott Young stood literally in the left-hand side of the frame.
And they've got small children dressed as Dazzles.
There were a lot of Dazzles. Yeah. We were over-dazzled. Obviously not this one. But anyway.
Or that one.
Or that one. All the ones back in Cambridgeshire. All the ones elsewhere. Have you got other Dazzles?
No.
Okay. So the run-out was, spectacular. Very hard to shoot, though, because I kept switching the lights on, switching the lights
off. They did a lot of on and off.
There was a lot of on and off.
Switching of lights.
And it made getting photos quite hard.
And for those of you who were watching at home, the booing that was heard, that people are putting down to all sorts of nonsense, was because they were running through the lists of previous winners. So when Tigers came up, of course, we booed. When Saracens came up, the whole stadium booed.
Yeah.
And when Toulouse came up, the Bordeaux supporters booed. So it was just a bit of
comedy booing.
It wasn't aimed at anybody.
And certainly wasn't aimed at the Bordeaux players that were being read out over the TV.
No, yeah, because that's with the confusion it looks like.
On the TV, that's what's going on. But no, it was the it was Saracens who got the biggest boo of the day. Well done, guys. Even in Europe.
Still winning at something.
And then the game was about to begin, and I scuttled along to my seat, and we went at it.
Hammer and tongs.
And the first move ended up with a beautiful try scored by Alex Coles with a thing of skill, strength, determination, just guts.
Yes, using the opposition's leg to roll the ball down.
Well, he slid it down. It's very good.
Very good.
Very clever.
Absolutely amazing. Such strong hands.
And a great start.
Yeah.
And then literally, at that second, we realised we'd lost somebody.
James Ram.
Don't know what happened. But he's on crutches, and
he was obviously upset.
And you were very upset. I got a message from my IT department saying
I was very upset. I was very upset at that point, and minutes later we moved into beyond very upset.
Yes. So George, I'd seen George in training, and he looked absolutely on point. He was flying around the place. And in trying to stop
one of them.
Well, in trying to stop Penno, I think it was. He ended up on the ground, and then their fullback. Now I've seen it. I couldn't work out what had happened because it didn't make sense as I looked looking down the pitch. Now I've seen it on TV. I don't understand, and this is one of many times where we're going to go. We don't understand. Because he had an opportunity to not hit George. He took several steps, made a really poor attempt to jump over him, and put a knee to his head.
And the law book states that you should not hurdle over players.
And you and I have had a conversation about Henry, because Henry does like jumping over people.
Yeah.
And
hopefully he will have seen the dangers of it, but it categorically states in the laws that you should not do that, and it wasn't as if he was committed. He had chance to avoid it, and he deliberately did so.
And then all of a sudden we've got carts on the field, and George,
and it had the impact, obviously, the trauma for our team that of watching somebody who's so important to the team, even when he's been injured, watching him lying motionless for so long was horrible. It was just awful, absolutely awful. And our boys just trying to hold it together. But of course, for Bordeaux, it gave them chance to draw breath and regroup to come back at us. So it was a double whammy.
And I think
for
they
us.
scored on the following.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah. Oh yes, because mysteriously. We went back for a penalty because obviously they'd had the penalty and then kicked it, and that's where the whole thing. But rather than looking at what happened with George and maybe thinking that wasn't right, so we'll restart with the scrum where it happened, which to me would have been fairer. But
somebody actually made a point. They said,
if 95% of head-on-head collisions are accidental, but most of them end in cards of some sort, why wasn't it even looked at?
Ian Dunkley.
He was Ian, who I met at the station when I was meeting and greeting, waiting for my.
Good point, well made. Yeah. Boots to heads we can do without. Yeah. What we are going not to do is we're not going to do a blow-by-blow account of every decision that Marius Juncker decided to make.
This is what you've all been waiting for. This is what you've tuned in for. What on earth? I won't even use the language I used yesterday, but I think it quite shocked a few people that don't expect to see old ginger-haired ladies using that sort of language in the stand. What was he watching? What was he looking at, that ref?
But the problem we had... No, so there has been a theme on the Ladies Wot that the TMO process is knackered. And Marius Juncker single-handedly broke it into many pieces yesterday. The second half was not refereed by the man in the middle.
Well, it wasn't though, was it? That was why Juncker had to step in so often.
Well, yes, because it was just mayhem out there,
and
it ended up with the TMO just.
But where was the TMO? Had he gone for a cup of coffee in the first half or something when Tom Lockett got headbutted?
Oh yeah, I mean there's head-on-heads all over the place. I mean,
and Temu's
So. Rather than go blow by blow, because believe me, this woman will be in pieces if we do that. We have to sort out what it is that we're going to do with the TMO. We have because the man in the middle, he might as well not have a whistle. He might as well just wait for the message from on high, and it's going to take 3 days to play a game before we finish.
I have to say though, the man in the middle had let the mayhem happen.
Oh, absolutely!
There was somebody put on Facebook, and I can't find who it was, but it was absolutely brilliant. They posted that the ref's staying in our hotel. I asked him if he'd like a drink. He said yes, but the TMO overruled him and said no, which was kind of just about summed it up really. And I think there were so many decisions that on field were wrong, that going both ways probably, but certainly as far as Saints are concerned, and the system of cardage too was just weird. So I was very ranty, and I was trying my best. I was playing my part of going to the loo and everything. I was up and down those stairs, in and out like a dog at a fair, up and down like a fiddler's elbow. I was got all my steps in.
And Berger told you to stay in.
And Berger, I saw Berger at half time, and he said, "Oh, yes, I'm very stressed." And I was explaining about it, and he said, "Well, if it's all the same to you, stay here." I went, oh, "Okay, I'll not see him." And at that point, actually, was when Henry scored the try that was disallowed because Colsey had held a man mountain back by a finger.
Yeah, he touched a finger on his shoulder.
Anyway, so
bitter. But I think out of it, there is somebody needs to do something, because we've ended up also the review systems are all different depending on the competition you're playing. You know, international rugby's played one way, big competitions in Europe played another way. We understand actually the arrangements were slightly different for Friday's game, and then the Gallagher Premiership's another way, and then the Championship, bless them. Well. Rugby, it's complicated enough without us having 15 different flavours of TMO, refereeing, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's get it sorted. We are going to ask our favourite referee, Mr. Rowden, about Mr. Furbank. We haven't had a chance to do it yet, about whether our fullback, we were going to drop him a message, weren't we? So we will contact with the lovely Ash, if you're not watching.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, if he's not watching, you won't be able to answer that.
Well, no, I'll just say we mentioned you on the pod, because otherwise he's going to go, "Oh yeah, I heard my name being mentioned on the pod," and he doesn't say that. So we will ask him about George, because now I've seen it on the telly. It's like, no, you can't do that. And then, as you say, to be brought back for penalty. And then of course we ended up with Ollie Slightholme on the wing. Yeah, Mr. Dependable. Yeah. Oh my God, he was on fire. And
given that his legs held together with sticky tape.
Well, and also he was mentioned several times by several pundits who who clearly hadn't heard of Mr. Dependability.
And I think they kind of get that he sums up the team, that he's come through the system, he's part of the family, and
Well, Claire Thomas asked Douse about. She actually named Tom at the end. And absolutely.
Talking part of the family, I've not listened back to Graham and Lenny to find out if his dad came on at all.
I didn't notice him.
No, but we've never noticed him before, but Graham has. So.
Oh no, I'm sure I've seen him a couple of times. Yeah. But Jalibert was not happy with Mr. Dependable. He's being flung off. I mean, he was already in a grump anyway.
Well, apparently
so we learned from the French press. So it was a battle, and in the end, our sellotape and string
couldn't stretch.
It couldn't stretch. And so a combination, we couldn't get any momentum.
Their defence was amazing, absolutely superb. Even when it was legal, and they were the better team, and we'd make no bones about it. And they should be. Their budget is 5 times ours. 5 times at least.
We worked out roughly at least. Yeah.
So
yes. But
actually, just before we go into that, but I know where you're going with that, but hold that, but no, not that one. So in their average points per game is
45.
and 8 tries.
8 tries, yeah.
So hats off to our sellotape and string and Lee Radford's defence. We did incredibly well to run them that close, incredibly well. And that's where, going back to us, how proud we are of this bunch of young men, this family that we feel.
And they want more of it.
Of.
It's. I mean, I decided that I'd do I got a lot of hugs after the game, which is lovely at the place. Well, partly I wanted to give out a lot of hugs because they need. And
I was just hugging the parents.
Dinger's comment to me was, "Oh well," and I said, "Okay, well let's go to Spain."
Yeah,
I said, Elliot had to think about it when I said, "Let's go to Spain." He went, but no, they all did.
Did he hum his thinking song?
His beard looked particularly bushy yesterday.
I'm very worried about Dazzle.
There we are. His beard looked particularly bushy because I said, let's go do it again. Let's go on another yay strange let's go on another journey and go to Bilbao.
I think so.
I mean, we can see what happens when you win a trophy in Bilbao. As a Saints and Spurs supporter,
takes you 4 days to get back.
Yes. Some of the Spurs supporters miss the amazing North London N17. Wow, yeah, you did North London proud. The bus tour through the streets of Tottenham. Some of the supporters never made it back couldn't get back in time. So if we thought getting to Cardiff was an adventure, I think going to Bilbao, we're already.
You'd be really stuffy if your bus turned towards Manchester, wouldn't you? So
yeah, let's all go to Spain.
Let's all go to Spain.
Yes.
So the but. Yeah, I've forgotten where we were going with the
but. Every team needs its point where it revs itself up.
Oh yeah.
You know, Finn proved it when we were in Leinster that you know, the pundits wrote the team off, and it was the grudge point that everyone needs. But once it's won, you move on. Clearly,
there's 2 grudge points.
Clearly, there's 2 grudge points for our colleagues in Bordeaux. By the way, that's my laptop telling me I need to take vitamin D.
It needs to take you well overdue vitamin D.
Yeah.
She passes out. It's like, can you pass out for like a vitamin D?
Anyway, no, fall asleep. You fall asleep.
Yeah, I just get moody.
So there are 2 points. We don't know where this came from,
but. At the final whistle,
it's being reported in the press, and it's one of the things that we need to hear more about. Jalibert took exception, spoke to Dingers apparently about the fact that we had been rude about them because we called them mercenaries. And I don't think anybody in the Saints coaching setup, player setup called Bordeaux mercenaries. The fact that they did go and get Damien Penaud, now the European Player of the Year, from Clermont. No, they are a team of Galacticos. We learned this today that Jean-Luc Deprez is going to bolster up the pack because you know they're a bit small. So it might have been said in the French press, or it might have. Anyway, we don't know where it came from.
But we don't.
But clearly, Jalibert in his little head,
associated it.
Little bee was buzzing around. Yeah. And the other person, and Luku quite proudly told the French press on Friday, had sent a picture of Henry. Luku, he's been everywhere. He's all over.
Don't know why your guys wouldn't recognise
Why did they need a photo? Anyway, they don't get out much of Henry and targeting him. Now, we knew that Henry was going to get targeted. Henry knew that he was going to get targeted. What was Henry's stat yesterday?
Most
tackles,
something. So those the keyboard warriors who said, well, he was anonymous. He's playing at number 8, so you're never going to see the breaks that you see. From that Colsey and Josh Kemney were making. Plus, he was targeted.
2 tries he had talked off,
and he was high up in the stats for tackles or meters made or something. So
shut up, everybody. Henry knew. In fact, I think Douse warned him: get yourself a network of people, and it's his family who will look after you and care for you. Because in the up times, it'd be brilliant. and in the shit times when people go after you, it'll be horrible. So make sure your network. So he has a very tight network of friends. We don't know what happened at the end. We're not going to get into who did what to whom.
It is being looked at.
It's being looked at, and if you know what we might talk about it in a future pod. But all I can say is it's a bit weird when you're still fixated on the opposition when you're celebrating.
Well, also they're celebrating there's a picture of them celebrating in the change rooms doing this that Henry did at Leinster, and you think, he's 20. He's going to be under your skin for many years to come. You've really got to move on.
Yeah,
or don't. Or don't. We don't
care.
He's ours.
Now, what it meant, of course, was that there was space. There was a sort of area because they were all fixated on that man that the crew said. Colesy took advantage.
He did. They didn't expect Coles, did they?
No.
Did not expect him.
No.
We did, because we know what he's like.
Yeah. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding. So they ran themselves into the ground.
Absolutely
ran themselves into the ground. But the good news is they want more of it. So hence why, trip to Spain.
Trip to Spain, Dazzle. What do you think? I don't think you can go because you probably haven't had your injections.
Oh, just yeah.
Well, maybe you can. I don't know. We'll check.
Yes. God, if they grew this year, God, what size are they going to be next year?
They'll all be on wheels. Do you remember you used to, when you were little, and get those dogs on wheels? That's the next size up. Is to have
yes,
little one on wheels that you walk along with.
Yes. So they all want more. They all want more. This is the beginning. And you wisely yesterday said, Mrs. Saunders, that the 2011 team.
Oh yes, different feel.
Yeah, well, it's a different feel from 2011 because I felt like my innards had been ripped out after that game. But it was the beginning of something because by 2014 we're winning the Challenge Cup and the Premiership in the same year. So yeah, it's a painful journey. And this team have already won. Let's remember that they have already won.
And I think I would imagine that, when the dust has settled, Douse will remind them of what they have achieved, which is more than any other British club this season, because they got to the final. They beat Ireland. Not just beat Ireland, who were shored up by a World Cup winner and two World Cup winners.
Two World Cup winners.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they've done, and even although we are where we are in the Premiership, in our Premiership journey, we've taken some notable scalps.
Saracens,
Bath.
Not Tigers.
And
you can tell that's still great.
It's still great. Well, it still rankles with all of us.
It just rankles. So that journey, as Douse keeps reminding him, wasn't Douse a class act?
Oh. I have to say that
leading the team round the pitch.
Supporters, the length of time Douse and the players stayed on the pitch and came into the crowd to find their mums and dads and family was really rewarding. And that was the difference. That team of 2011 onwards would, as soon as they lost, they'd disappear.
Yeah.
They didn't. This team now get that we're hurting too. And actually the support they get from supporters is strong and real. They'll get the occasion idiot that will go something about you should have played. Well, we've seen some of them on.
Some of them are just quite funny.
Some of them are funny. Well, who's Nigel Spud Mansfield? That's quite entertaining. But so they understand
looking forward to seeing his honours board.
Yes, that we win together and we lose together, and that when we lose, we're all in this together, and we're hurting as well, and we're hurting for them as well as us. And I think they get it much more than any other team I've known. So, and Douse leading them around him, and that was.
Well, he had to negotiate with an EPCR gentleman. To be fair on the EPCR gentleman, he was worried that Douse was about to be toasted.
Oh yes, by the flames.
It was so Daz negotiated as long as they stayed next to the LEDs, they'd be fine.
Yeah.
So he led them round the pitch, and not all of them walked all the way around the pitch.
No.
Some of them were.
I did fear for James Ram coming over the hoardings into the crowd. Yes. Stewart held the crutches, and Angus Scott Young was helping him get over the hoardings. Yeah, I know. what could possibly go wrong there.
Yeah, no.
But he was safely over. Gus did his job well that time and helped him over. Didn't decide to play a prank or do anything Gus like. It was all fine and marvellous. But earlier on, just think about so a lot of the squad were all there, and Sammy Graham was in front of us giving out wristbands, and I said to Doctor, shall I go and ask him if he's got mine? I dare you, I didn't, but wouldn't have surprised me.
Because, of course, he is social secretary, isn't he? He's
yes.
with Lizzie.
Have you got mine there? Oh, yeah, here you are. Wouldn't have surprised me, but I didn't.
We'd have stood outside with our noses pushed on the window.
I think these were the pitch side ones, I think.
No, if they were stripy ones, they were the post-match ones.
Oh, the stripy ones. Anyway, so so that was it. And hats off to George Hendy, who was doing his best to get the crowd going at our end.
And what did the IT department call it?
Oh yes, so he was trying to lead a song of Wendy, When the Saints.
Yeah.
So my half of the IT department sort of said, "Oh, it was a Hendy Wendy then."
A Hendy Wendy. So well
have that
done.
one, Laura.
A Hendy Wendy.
A Hendy Wendy. Yeah.
And looking forward.
Looking forward.
We've done a lot of looking forward because we're going to do a review of the season at some point, but now is not the time. So we thought we'd optimistically look forward and thought, ooh. So here we are in Spain, Liz. We're in Spain. And our back row of...
Oh, God. This just... I cannot wait for this. So we will have a back row of Callum Chick at 8 and Josh, Kemeny and Henry with numbers on their backs that are meaningless because they're just going to play wherever they want to play.
Oh, that is just going to be...
And Colsey and Lockett in the engine room. Or
supported by Chunya.
And a front row of, well, any of them, really.
Yeah.
Just, I think that, very excited. Very excited about Callum Chick signing. I think that's... and I would imagine he is...
Fischetti.
And Fischetti.
And then we've got some wingers and all sorts.
I know, we've forgotten who we signed, really, but we're very excited.
Very excited.
Which brings us on to our homegrown future. Now, this is the other thing, isn't it? We were doing a quick... So this thing about Bordeaux being mercenaries. So we did a quick...
Which we didn't say.
Yeah. But when you look at who they've brought in. So we did a quick back of a fag packet, none of us smoke, calculation.
Unlike the people in front of you.
Oh, God! Honestly, French people can be so obnoxious when they really try. So there were these you've said it now. Sorry. But honestly, so there was this group of French men and
and there was something very, very unfortunate with their trousers.
One of them's trousers was the moon had raised his lamp above. It was not a sign, and when they were standing up, oh God, it was awful. And they were awful. And so when we had smoke at half time, we said, "My God, this smoke's getting in the back of your throat." And then we looked down. There's at least one of them fucking it up, honestly. So I walked out. That was when I went for the fresh air. But dear God, they were obnoxious. And I think the one that had lit the cigarettes stood on the seat at the end of the game, and that just get off. No, it doesn't matter. Language has, when somebody is like your mother telling you off, it doesn't matter what language it's in. Get off that seat. People have to sit there and put their bottoms where your feet have been.
Can I just try something with you?
Yeah.
Can you feel his feet?
Excuse me.
For those of you on Spotify.
Oh, they're not. They're not. We've got. It's not got balanced feet. So one foot is a fat foot. And this foot is not a fat foot.
No,
there is
stuffing missing.
Yeah.
That's the Dazzle for those of you on Spotify. He's got uneven feet. So we were going back to how many of the match day 23?
Oh, yes, 14. 14 that we could think of off the tops of our heads.
Well, we stretched it to 16, but we think we borrowed a couple that maybe we shouldn't have done.
I thought 14 was stretching. Because we count Finn as homegrown.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
Dow said we've taught him all he knows.
Yeah. And sorry, Worcester supporters.
Yeah, we know.
And Mitch coming to us to avoid.
But he came to us in the academy.
Yeah, he was avoiding his brother.
He was avoiding his brother, but you see, Dusty. Well, to be fair, Dusty made the offer because Dusty spotted his potential. Yeah. So he came to us. He was 17. So
we talking about home growing, we do a lot of home growing, and it's continued.
It is. Have you got
uh,
the list there that we...
So last week we didn't mention the boys who have joined us because for two reasons. One, it was well, we actually, to be honest, we forgot. We were
so carried away about the Saracens.
But it turned out to be actually a good thing because
we can now discuss the future.
We can discuss the future, but we can also talk about James Burridge's little film.
Oh, yes.
So congratulations to James Burridge and his team.
And if you haven't seen it, get on iPlayer. And it's about the academy, and it's fascinating and moving in equal measures.
It joins the story at the match that Liz went to see. I was at Welford Road.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah.
You went to see it, and they were playing in.
Well, if you remember, I was instructed to go by the academy director.
Oh, you were. Yes, the Hoppers told you to go. Yes, yeah. So we have a fabulous intake. Some of which, whom even we've already met, and we saw all bar one of them play in that under-18s final. One we didn't see, but he was there. Which is Archie Appleby, who's a second rower. He was the captain of the under-18s until he was injured.
Yes,
and Jack Lawrence took over. So the little film is fantastic. It's you see the coaches at work, the lovely Reece Marshall doing his stuff.
Yes,
you see all the things where Charlie explains what we want the players to learn, develop as men as well as...
Yes, and how important the all-roundness of everything is. So it's not just about rugby, it's about education and forward planning for life after life without rugby, really.
Yeah, and one of the players that they interview at the end doesn't actually get selected for the academy, but has really positive things to say
about the process.
Yes, so congratulations to Archie Appleby, who is a second row.
Yes.
And he joined us. Those of you who've seen the film will know Jack Lawrence. Jack was actually at Sandy Park.
Yes, yes, Jack and Henry.
And if you've seen the photographs, Jack's the one kissing the shield that's in the photos.
Yeah.
Henry Lumley, who was also at Sandy Park. Yeah. James Pater, who is a fullback and continues the tradition of peacocks, Shelford players joining. Yeah. So Hutch will be very pleased joining the Saints. And then the one that I was most impressed to learn about, Aidan Pugh.
Yeah, this is a fascinating one.
So Aidan Pugh, we saw play in the under-18s final.
Not for us, though.
No, he was playing for Bath. And we snapped him up because we'd learnt... obviously, he wasn't offered a contract by Bath, but we learnt that he'd taken himself off to National Division 2 to play for Henley Hawks. So at 17, he's played 18 games of adult rugby.
At National League 2.
At National League 2.
Which is a huge learning curve for a 17-year-old at that level.
The fact, to work it out, realise he could get more from his rugby by playing for them, absolutely brilliant. He's already, he knows what it's like to be in an adult, senior changing room, the things he needs to think about. Absolutely fabulous. So he's one of the ones who's contracted through Loughborough, the university. Looking forward to seeing him.
He was actually originally in the London Irish programme.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And so he's what Saints look for is somebody who's adaptable and coachable. That's the whole thing. Absolutely. About looks for solutions, not just problems.
Yeah. And then Freddie, whose surname we're really going to have to get sorted out. Is he St John or St John?
Yeah.
But he is an Oakham School pupil, and so we're looking forward. Another centre. So, looking forward to that.
Cricketer as well.
Yes, we've got a series of family-related cricketers.
And then we have...
our Italian.
Who
Eduardo!
I think we mentioned last week.
Because he was winding Henry up.
Yeah. And he is the beast.
He's been training with the senior squad anyway, and he is the nuts, as they say. Yes.
Well, you see, I'm a little more bees knees.
He can run at an angle. For those of you on Spotify, I went at an angle, and then he can go the other way.
Angle. Yeah.
Within literally 2 meters.
Yeah, and he hasn't got oddly stuffed feet.
I'm glad.
Maybe he has. Maybe that's what helps him.
That's when we go.
Yeah. We're going to have to sort Dazzle out.
We are, aren't we? And then we've got a Dutchman.
Yeah. Yes.
We're not sure how to pronounce his name.
Folter.
We're not. Yes. But he has actually played in New Zealand. I mean, so they really are looking for guys who've thought about things and not just done the school academy route. There's been a degree of thinking, and he is a number 8 and is, quote, explosive. We like explosive number 8s, don't we?
Yes, and he's another one on a university contract.
So
at Loughborough.
Congratulations to everybody who's joined us.
It's very exciting.
Very exciting. And do watch the film. James Burridge has done an absolutely stellar job. It is such a lovely film. And it shows the difference between, we talk about French club finances for 5-6 years now. Since Chris Boyd came in, the plan has always been to grow our own, and it's supplemented by the odd Joanna Augustus or Mr. Fischetti on his way. So we'll see.
No, I'm just thinking about the academy and the ones we've signed, and so therefore the ones who are still a year below signing age, so who were playing for the under-18s.
Mm-hmm.
That's an exciting prospect as well, isn't it? The year two.
Well, these guys are the ones that were playing for the under-18s.
Yeah, but there's some who are playing for the under-18s who haven't signed, but I think we will sign.
Oh, I don't know.
The reason why we haven't signed
because
them
they're already too young. So
they're too young. I'm thinking
Hugh Shields,
and that wing, Charlie, what's his name on the wing?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I'm presuming he's
got
another year in the under-18s.
They've got another year in the under-18s. So, wow.
So, I mean,
the production line is just extraordinary.
It is phenomenal. And I think the interview with the young man who wasn't offered a contract was fascinating, that how carefully they're curated and supported is fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so well done to everybody. And then, talking of,
futures.
Well, we need to mention Bedford. We do need to mention
Bedford at this point, yes.
Yeah, let's mention Bedford. So, congratulations to Bedford Blues, who have finished second in the championship.
That's punching above, isn't it?
That's wonderful, wonderful. Superb. They're the only team to beat every other team in the championship. And I think they've accrued the most points in their history or something, 82 or something. But wow, is all I can say. I did their team photo on Thursday. A glorious, glorious evening at Goldington Road. The slopes, mega. And it's something that, we heard Douse at the dinner, but, Douse mentioned again in an interview this week, the relationship with Bedford is critical to the development of our players. May it continue. It's a fabulous club. It's great to work with. Great to watch for rugby there.
No, absolutely. I love it. And the food's fantastic. And I think the other thing, it shows that it's benefiting both clubs.
Oh, yeah.
I know
it's not just one-way traffic.
I know Bedford sometimes get a bit frustrated because they suddenly have to rearrange their team because we've called somebody in. But the fact that they are punching above their weight in the championship, I think it shows that it's, as much as anything, it's the cross-pollination of the coaching staff, I think, has really helped. So
they do have a departure. So Tom Cruise has gone to Worcester. I wished him well and then said, but not too well.
So did you unclench your teeth at that point?
No, not really. Lovely man. Heading to Worcester. But yeah. But it was great. Mike Ray was in good form, and the team were preparing to Revenge of Chinner. I will never forget that match. It was the muddiest, wettest I've done in a very long time, and they did 60 points on them. So well done, second place. So well done
Bedford.
Well done Bedford, and good luck for next season. I'm looking forward to heering they've got some signings in the offing.
Yes, that'd be interesting to see.
Very exciting.
Who crops up?
Yes, and they've wished quite a few farewell, including the likes of Luke Frost. No more Frosty. Heading back to London. And Loughborough. Well, we've got lots of Loughborough news, haven't we?
Well, we have. I was going to say, look into the future again.
I know.
We've got 9 Loughborough
under-20s.
ladies in the under-20s.
Blimmin' heck.
England under-20s setup. I mean, that is fantastic.
Including several who we met last summer.
Yes.
Yeah, so well done to the Loughborough ladies. Well done to Daisy. Of course, Daisy was on commentary again yesterday. I wished her well.
Oh, I didn't see her.
Yeah, no, Daisy was there.
Daisy.
Yeah, so fabulous stuff. So
we've got 2 people up for awards in the Professional Women's Rugby, whatever they call themselves.
The PWR.
PWR.
Nathan Smith as Coach of the Year, and
Lily Ives Campion as one of the Breakthrough Players of the Year. So that'd be, I think I voted. Could you vote? I don't know.
Yeah, you voted.
I voted for, every time I see anybody, so vote for them.
Yes, get voting. But well done, because again, it's that, it's about bringing young talent through, supplemented by international talent.
Yeah.
There are lots of Loughborough players in the Red Roses teams, in the Scotland team, in the Canada.
Last time I looked, Cannock wasn't international. Still in Staffordshire, as far as I'm aware.
But Canada is.
The
Skirfield is probably going to be rampaging around the place.
Yeah.
And we had a couple who were playing for the USA against the Black Ferns.
Yeah, no, just
tough gig, that one.
Yeah. All good experience.
All very good experience. So, and the build up to the World Cup continues.
Yeah.
Should we say?
Yeah, go on.
So, we're not going to reveal the date just yet, but ladies and gentlemen, during August, we can name the month, can't we?
We can.
During August, you will have an opportunity to meet us 2.
Take part in a pod.
Because the Ladies Wot Pod is going live. Thanks to the Royal and in a bar. Thanks to the Royal and Derngate Theatre. The lovely Jo Gordon came up with this fabulous idea. So we're going to have a live pod that you're all invited to. Yeah,
Ticket details.
Yeah,
will be out presently.
Yeah, it's going to be a charity affair. Yeah. So don't worry, you're not selling your grandmother again to come and see us. But we're really excited about it, and ever so grateful to the theatre for coming up with it. Yeah. So yes, and there will be some special guests.
Yeah.
There'll be the usual old nonsense. We will be ranty. And we'll probably, involve the audience in a very,
I'm sure we will, in a very Ladies Wot
way kind of way.
Yeah, but it'd be lovely to see as many of you as possible, please, because otherwise we might as well just carry on doing it to a screen.
Yeah.
If you don't come, we'd be very sad. Very sad.
The IT department did get a bit carried away.
Oh Lord, they did. Honestly. We had to put the brakes on the IT department.
All sorts of demands, remove the blue Smarties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, yes, so we are going live, and we're just confirming the final details, and we're very grateful to everybody who's helping us out here, because it's going to be a bit of fun. We're just going to have a laugh, hopefully.
Hope so.
Laugh, you'll have a glass of wine, and I'll have
might have a gin.
You might have a gin.
Well, you never know. I had to have gin last night.
You did, yeah.
A bit desperate.
Is
it evaporated? No, it's not quite evaporated.
Now, last but not least,
yes,
the wheelchair rugby. Well, actually, last, of course, is our last trip to Gosford. Anyway, we won't.
That's
the wheelchair rugby guys are up and running, and they're in 3rd place in the WR5s. They headed all the way to Plymouth while we were watching. Saracens. They were heading south, and got off to a solid start. A couple of wins under their belt, so help for Heroes and Leicester Tigers are ahead of them in the league.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to seeing them in mid-June. They'll be at Stoke Mandeville. More of that shortly. I will be. Do come along. It's free entertainment. And the guys would love to see you. It's a grand day out, and I will be going to see them in training on the Wednesday before, and Jamie and the crew are well up for it.
Yeah.
So I can't wait.
So that is on the Sunday the 15th of June.
Something like that.
Which coincides with the Walking Rugby Festival at the Gardens. which we won't be at either because we're off in Seville to do cultural things and cherry tasting.
Awful for you.
Not necessarily in that order.
The big one that Jamie does want us all to go to is, I think, the 13th of July, which is in Kettering, the Sports Centre in Kettering.
Yeah.
Again, we'll make more of that as we get closer. He's really keen for as many Saints supporters to come along and support the lads. Free.
Again, free and worth going to, I believe.
Yeah.
Again, won't be there.
No, you.
I'm in Argentina.
Supporting our lads in Argentina. So the wheelchair rugby guys. Keep going, guys.
I mean, and if you could just arrange a date when I'm not out of the country, it'd be nice.
It's all about you, isn't it?
Yeah. Too right.
And then walking rugby.
Well, walking rugby. Yeah, they had a good session on Thursday. Quite a few of them there. It's only £2 a session now, I think, or £2.50, something like and Thursday was one of our social. One of our number had a birthday, so we went out for a curry afterwards.
Very nice,
and it was a good laugh. And yeah, it's a really working well as a social support as well as a rugby thing. I say rugby. I say walking rugby. Sometimes it bears very little relation to either of those, to be honest. But yeah, it's good. It's a good laugh, and it's a good bunch of people. Thursday, 5:30 meet, get going 6ish, sometimes before, sometimes after, for an hour of walking rugby. Come along and
Callum would be very pleased.
Callum would be really pleased to see you. Come along and find out what it's all about.
Yeah. And then last but not least, we're going to mention Toaster Under-10s and Gloucester Rugby, the last match of the season in the same phrase.
In the same breath. I know.
Now we were musing. Somebody was. Somebody was musing that the game ought to be replayed because the officiating was so bad. So we came up with the idea that Bordeaux probably wouldn't be very interested in it. So why don't we get Toaster Under-10s to play the match with a guest supporter, Alfie.
Yeah,
so
dressed as a mini Henry Pollock, so that Alfie can actually do contact rugby
with Henry.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alfie is involved on Saturday, isn't he?
Well, it's Toaster Under-10s. They've not gone on tour this year, so they're going down to Gloucester on a charabanc, basically, and they are team of the match, so they get a little coaching session from Gloucester. They've got a question and answer session with Gloucester players. It's going to be interesting because they probably won't have any idea who these Gloucester players are, but whatever. And then they are the ones who wave the flags as they come out, we think so. But siblings are included in this, so Alfie's going along. He's got a Henry Pollock headband. He's all set. And when Luke Green was on the Saints show, I was so gratified to hear that Alfie isn't weird. Well, because Luke Green said, Graham said, I suppose you started playing at under sevens. Went, no, well, I did, but I gave it a rest because there wasn't any contact. I went back to when you could do contact. I thought, I've got one like that.
There you go.
So there we go. So anybody going down to Gloucester, you'll see Toaster Under-10s there. Obviously, I'm going down.
It'd be interesting to see the team we put out next week.
Yeah, are you taking your boots?
Well, I think Alfie should.
I think anybody who's got two legs.
The IT department had high hopes.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
High hopes. So yes, because Gloucester do actually have something to play for.
They do have something to play for, and interestingly, Saracens are kind of reliant on us beating Gloucester.
Oh, the irony.
Yeah.
So it'll be the last match of the season. As I said, we're going to do a proper review of the season.
We'll do
that typical Saints rollercoaster ride.
Yeah.
It was actually, I didn't mention yesterday, it was lovely to see Julia Chapman and Ella Bevan and John White on the pitch at the end of the game, hugging all the players.
Yes, I saw that.
It was lovely to see them there.
The conversations I've had with people just recently, because we met a couple when we were out Morris dancing on Wednesday night. Mike and Hilary, if you found us, hello. If you haven't, you won't know. But they were saying about the feeling that although it's big, it's still a club. It is still it has gone back to being a club and
Yes,
a family.
yes.
And it's such a strong feeling of
Yeah,
that. It's awesome. And we certainly get that feeling, don't we? As sort of,
Oh, absolutely.
as
Yeah,
aunts.
everybody's very approachable. Well, we are so lucky with the group of players that we have.
We are, yeah.
That they engage in the way they do, and my plea is all of them don't get Billy Big Boots,
No.
and I'm sure they won't.
No,
I'm sure they won't.
Not as long as they stay at Saints, they won't.
Because the club feel is really, really important. Great news about season tickets: 95% of them sold.
That's fantastic.
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
and there's more to come from this team. We know
I think the promise is so great.
If we can just sort out the sodding fixture list so that we don't lose. That we need to talk about that as part of the review.
That's part of the review.
I've just realised I've done this pod wearing a 1991 referee shirt.
So you have
from the World Cup. There you go.
Don't know what to make of
I
that.
haven't got the other colourway. I've lost it because the other one was black, yellow, and blue. I think.
How did you lose it?
Oh, somewhere in a house move. I mean, it's 1991. It's a lifetime
it's very
ago.
true. It was a long time ago.
But yes, but the one I always liked was this one. This is my favourite. So,
I've just resurrected a completely unbadged because I'm now
obsessing about the
badge. But yeah.
I think the badge has done us proud this year.
Yeah.
I think get over the badge. We should have got over the badge thing ages ago.
I think the boys. I mean, we say we will do a proper review, but yesterday they left. Everything was left out there. They were running on fumes, every single one of them.
They were, absolutely, they were. They played. They
played themselves to a standstill against a much stronger team. That's
Yes.
a much richer team.
Yes.
Because you can't escape. Perhaps money does buy you success. What it does is buy you strength in depth, so that you can.
But the city of Bordeaux, it's a city, isn't it? Yeah. Celebrated 20,000 Bordeaux fans on the streets, going nuts, which is brilliant to see.
Yeah, you see, and then there's people in Northampton going, I can't get to the game. Where can I go and watch it? You just feel we miss a trick somewhere.
Yes.
But don't we have the problems of the club can't show it, can they? The Premier TV idiocies that we can't have a screen set up at the gardens where people could watch it from the...
Well, they don't. What they do is they create a fan zone in the middle of the city. So
yes, exactly. But
so the Market Square would be the obvious
been the obvious one.
Place. But anyway, that's for others to worry about.
Yeah.
So, Mrs. Saunders, we're going to meet again in...
we'll be in Gloucester.
We'll be in Gloucester. Dr. Jones is standing in the shed.
Is he? We're not.
No. You're sitting in the seats.
Obviously in the seats.
I will be pitch side.
Yeah, and we're going down on the supporters club coach. I think there's about 2 seats left on that, which is good. And then we're just going for the crack. Well, I'm just going to watch Toaster Under 10s and Alfie.
It's not been a great photography year for me, and I've got to do a bit of a review. I think there's some things I need to change.
Technical things.
No, composition, looking out for things. There's some stuff I need artistic stuff, yes, that I need to think about. So yeah, more of that. I've worried too much about the technology this year, and I think I need to get back to doing the do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Great. So there we are.
Episode 75.
We think.
Of the Ladies Wot Pod.
Yes, thank you all for tuning in, listening. How long is it?
I don't know. Oh gosh, how are the horses? Oh, thank God for that.
Oh, the horses will be happy.
Yes, we got feedback that the horses were very happy. Yeah, the Dazzles.
That's a zebra.
No, the Dazzles happy on behalf of the horses. They must be related.
Well, it's just a horse in pyjamas, isn't it, really? Right, on that note,
we're really pleased that the horses are happy.
See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.